Today, I'm joined by Sam Watts from GC Partners, a specialist in currency exchange and international money transfers. If you're investing in Dubai real estate from overseas, one of the biggest questions is always, how do I transfer my money safely, quickly, and cost-effectively? In this conversation, Sam breaks down the myths, explains the process, and shares how GC Partners are helping clients move money into Dubai with ease. Let's get into it. Sam Watts, GC Partners. Finally, we get to sit down.
Can't wait. Thank you for having me.
So, thanks for coming. I think we start off with telling us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. I've been at GC Partners now for a couple of years, but I've always sort of worked in foreign exchange. Before GC Partners, I was with a alternate foreign exchange company, we can call it. Not quite a competitor. It's a case of if you can't beat them, join them with GC Partners. Prior to that, I was working in health insurance during a global pandemic, which was quite good fun. Before that, I was in the UK. But I actually moved out here when I was 11. So I've nearly been here as long as you. Give it a few years and I'll catch up. Went back to university, moved back out here and have just been working away ever since, really. Now I know you much better after taking over, looking after you and your clients for the last year or so.
Exactly. So your family moved here?
Yeah.
To work, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So my mum was a teacher.
Right.
She still is. Well, I say was. She's retired now. And my stepdad is a lawyer. So we moved out because of his law firm, and just it stuck really. My mum's still around. She's still here for 3 or 4 months out of the year. They've still got their place here. So they're around, which is nice. I've got a young son, so it's nice having grandma around to help.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And you work for a company called GC Partners, who I've known for, probably since they were formed.
Yeah,
for about 2003, 2004, I've known them since. And they've helped all my clients. Tell me a bit about, or tell the people who might be one or two people watching, who might be interested in know who GC Partners are exactly.
Yeah, of course. Well, the clues in the name is GC as in Global Currency Partners. We predominantly help expats with moving funds from A to B, B usually being the Dubai real estate market. The key sort of ethos and focus of what it is that we try to do is make life simpler for clients, make life cheaper for clients, and just streamline everything when it comes to international payments, whether that be a client buying a property, buying an expensive car, sending some money to their kids overseas, paying a mortgage somewhere else in the world. We like to be sort of a hub for everything that a client needs to do when it comes to foreign exchange. That's sort of the key area of where we help our clients. We don't sort of get muddled down with cryptocurrencies or cash payments, checks, things like that. Everything we do is via bank transfers. So we're a really clean-cut organization that just looks to help their clients out as much as they can. And obviously we work with a lot of real estate agents like yourself, as you want to help your clients too, right? So we work with you so we can help you, help your clients, and vice versa.
And how big is GC?
Cool, good question. Well, we opened originally in London in 2003. We've been in Dubai 15 years now. We've also got offices in Portugal, Spain, Amsterdam, Hong Kong, a couple of others flitted around the globe. So yeah, we're fairly well known globally, especially when it comes to the real estate market, really. A lot of the time individual clients need something like us, so it's just a case of them knowing we exist, and we're quite lucky now that we're fairly big in what we do, if not one of the biggest.
So you're looking after individuals that I know of, but there must be other entities that are using you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to be honest, it sort of changes geographically. So in the UK, for example, our corporate team's really big. They look after import-export companies, airlines, your massive sort of corporations that obviously have a requirement for foreign exchange. We also look after investors a lot of the time, whether it be somebody investing in property, working with financial advisors to help clients pull money out of their investments in one place, move them somewhere else. But obviously the market that I look after, the market that most of Dubai looks after, our team in Dubai, I should say, is the individual clients looking to buy and sell property.
Tell me a little bit about, or tell me something in detail, really, we need to know, is how someone who's overseas is looking to invest in Dubai real estate, how you can help them, exactly how you help.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, the reason that we're here is to help clients, and we have sort of 3 tiers of support, really. Firstly is obviously a cost saving, which especially in the Dubai market is huge. The majority of people that buy here, yes, some people do buy to live in a house. Ultimately, well, I would say 99% of the people that buy here have a view to selling it at some stage, whether it be in a year or in 10 years. Obviously, the price is a very, very important factor. We can help reduce costs, sometimes massively. Additionally, we also help clients to look at different options, right? There's multiple different options when you're moving funds overseas. The majority of people will just transfer through a bank or something similar like that, where it's sort of a one size fits all. With us, obviously, we help clients to find something that suits them a little bit better, so that they maximize their investment. You know, the investment starts from when they move the money, right? It's not just when they get the keys to their house or they've opened their financial portfolio. The investment starts right at the beginning, which is where we are. Thirdly, and ultimately as well, the best ability, is availability, which is something massive for our team. All of our clients have got their own account managers, and it's a phone call or an email a day, whether it be to get a rate, look at an option, book something in, change something. It's all available to be done within a few minutes. So ultimately, the 3 things that we help with is looking at different possibilities, different options, reducing the cost, and being there for our clients.
So how does that differ from, you said that high street is difficult to get hold of them, etc.
Yeah.
One size fits all. How does your process differ from the bank?
The main difference between us and the bank, aside from obviously the service side of things, is the cost, right? So everything that we do is really laid out in front of a client before they even, send us a penny. The registration process is really simple. We need passport, proof of address. In an ideal world, that registers a client immediately. In some cases, we'll also need a bank statement and a reason for transfer, which again is fairly simple documentation. Upon registration, the client has their own account manager who will guarantee them an exchange rate between pounds and dirhams, as an example. As long as a client is happy with that exchange rate, they'll book in with us and we will hold that rate for them until their money arrives with us within a day or 2. We'll then transfer it out for them directly to Dubai or wherever the money needs to go, in the correct currency at the pre-agreed rate. It'll take a day or 2 days maybe. With the bank, it's slightly different because firstly, there's intermediary charges. So you can be expecting, say, 10,000 dirhams to arrive in your account and then 9,654 comes out unexpectedly. On top of that as well, a lot of the banks, when they do transfer funds, is they won't book the currency when you book it. They'll book it when they send the payment off. So, I mean, if you sold a house to somebody on Monday, you took their deposit and everything and then give them all the registration documents on Thursday and it was 3% more expensive, they probably wouldn't be happy, right? And it's the same with us, and that happens all the time with the bank. So one of the key areas that we help is to make sure that doesn't happen to clients, so we can guarantee them the numbers that they need, whether it be to complete a property or send to their family or whatever.
So there's a lot of companies doing what you do.
Yeah.
And we don't have to mention names, but there's a couple which everybody quotes to me, I'm going to use this online currency transfer. Why wouldn't they use that?
Yeah, so
there's all the convenience in that.
Yeah,
you don't have to talk to anybody. They just get on with it. Yeah.
So it's a really good question, and it's something I come up against a lot, to be honest. We always win our business on either price or security, right? So your high street banks, again, won't name names, but we can all name a high street bank, we'll beat them on price. The issue that you do have with a lot of these online transfer platforms is the security side of things. A lot of people don't realise, but you're only covered up to, say, £85,000 or equivalent in a lot of cases. Unfortunately, nobody's buying a house for £85,000 anymore. That means that if you're buying a house worth £1 million in Dubai, you send over £1 million and then it gets lost or delayed or something happens, you're only covered for 85 grand or equivalent, as I say. Not an ideal situation for any investor. you need to make sure you're protected, right? And with us, obviously, we can protect up to any amount. So whether it be a few £1,000 or a few £100 even, all the way up to millions, the clients have got security in knowing that they're protected, their money's safe, and they're insured.
So I'm not going to mention these companies, but they are very well known online transfer houses. What I've found, I'm selling off plan, specialist off plan. So when we find the right apartment or property for our investor, the developer wants payment immediately.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that's via a credit card online payment system, and quite often they don't do that. They just want the money sent to them.
Yeah.
So if they haven't set up an account with you previously, they quite often have an account that they've just downloaded an app and do that. Now, one of the problems I've found is when they use that, the money doesn't arrive for days. For various reasons. And I'm not talking about 85,000, there's 10,000, 20,000, which is more or less the sort of sums that they want to use these companies for, the smaller fees, which is enough to hold a property. That doesn't happen with you guys.
No, I think one of the main reason it doesn't is because we are ultimately people-led. We have fantastic systems in place, fantastic software, but ultimately all of your clients' money is looked after a person or a group of people, which means that there aren't delays to payment. We use the SWIFT system the same as any bank or any transferring platform, the exact same system. The difference is the people that are using it are the people that are behind it. The maximum time frame you'll be looking at with a transfer for us is 3 working days. I mean, and that's for an exotic currency, the likes of a South African rand to dirham transfer, for example. Pound to dirhams or euro to dirhams, you're probably looking at next working day.
Sometimes even the same day.
Well, yeah, it can be. I don't like to say it because I like to manage expectations a little bit. But I use us, obviously, and sometimes you get it 10 minutes before you even sent it.
One of the things I find useful working with you guys, your company, GC, is that quite often all the developer wants is just proof that the trade has happened and the transfer has happened. So the trade happening is immediate.
Yeah.
And they don't even look at the particulars on that PDF that you send out to the client. They don't realize that the transfer hasn't happened, just the trade's happened.
Yeah.
So the fact that the client's booked that trade and hasn't actually given you any money, that's enough to get that property off the market and get it held.
Yeah.
And that's, we're cheating the system a little, but that's what we do just to make sure that our clients get their unit. You don't have that with these other online payment systems. There's a screenshot, but then there's no guarantee that money's going to turn up. And sometimes it doesn't turn up for a week or two.
Yeah.
And by which time the developer's given up.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of problems. So the clients got very nervous and scared that all his money's lost. And that more often than not, he's actually lost the property he wants to buy as well, which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, obviously the money always does turn up eventually, but it's always
How hard do you have to fight?
Yeah, exactly. And who's going to answer the phone?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So, okay, good. So that's covering those sort of your competitors. What are some of the myths or misconceptions people have about transferring money abroad that you could think of? I
think a lot of the time people think it's cheap because obviously with the exchange rate, with the exchange market, foreign exchange market, numbers move minutely, right? They move a tiny amount every single day, whether it be in your favor or against you. For an example, if I said, okay, a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at a pretty strong pound to the dirham, about 5 dirhams for every pound you're receiving. They might look onto their online banking, try to book an exchange rate and see that they're being offered 4.8 dirhams for every pound, an exchange rate at 4.8, when market rate's 5. They think, oh yeah, it's pretty close. That's fine. I'll take it. That's a 4% margin. 4% over £1 million, 40 grand. Just because you haven't looked elsewhere. So I think a lot of people think, oh, we don't need a foreign exchange house because I get a really good rate from my bank and it's basically free because it's only 0.2 less than what it should be. It's not the case. 4%.
We're getting a lot of problems with some of the European banks who put everything into compliance when when the money's coming to the Middle East. So it goes to the compliance department. And again, it gets held up. Yeah, which everybody gets quite frantic about and gets upset, etc. And then it's quite stressful for everybody involved, the developer, myself, and our clients. stressed out a bit. But we don't find that with you.
The reason that we don't see that happening so much with us, I mean, really good examples will be the United States, Italy, and Germany as well, where compliance can be an issue moving money to the Middle East. I mean, I know that Dubai, you could sort of drop it anywhere in Europe and it would fit. The whole world doesn't see this place like that. The reason that we don't have issues like that is due to our regulation. So we're FCA regulated. We bank in London, which essentially means that when a client's making an international transfer through us, they're not transferring it to the Middle East. They're transferring it through London. So they transfer to London from euros, from their euro account to our euro account in London, and then we'll make the international transfer on their behalf. Additionally, we satisfy all of our compliance ahead of time. So it's not a case of, a client sends us money and then we ask them for a passport and a proof of address. We make sure everything's settled ahead of them even booking an exchange rate. That's why there's no delays when it comes to the money being delivered.
Yeah, one of the issues I have is explaining to clients when we're in the sort of qualifying stages of talking about what it is they want and how they're going to pay for it, is telling them that they should open up an account with a company such as yourselves prior to coming to Dubai. Because what we don't want is them to fall in love with the property and then lose it because they can't get the money.
Yeah.
The US is a prime example. Their credit cards don't work here. They work here if you're on holiday, but they don't work online.
Yeah.
You can't send a payment link to the US and expect to get that money through unless you speak to your bank beforehand. You tell them this is what you're going to do because the security measures are all there. Yeah, so you just get round all those sort of hurdles before we even start the process.
Exactly. I mean, the US is obviously a really prime example of that. I mean, a lot of your US clients or our US clients, they'll have trouble moving money from their United States account direct to the Middle East. The best way to get around that, we've got a regulation in the US. We bank in Manhattan. So we book an exchange rate with a US client, which is really, really easy because it's a pegged rate anyway between dollars and dirhams. They're happy with that rate. They'll send their US dollars directly to us, to our account in Manhattan, and then we'll transfer it onwards to Dubai again on their behalf. So it just completely alleviates that issue for them because they're using a regulated company to do it. So it's easy.
That's interesting because one of the questions I had for you is the fact that the US dollar is pegged to the dirham.
Yeah.
So therefore you'd expect there to be no differences in the exchange rate.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you speak with. So we have a peg rate. Our US dollar rate doesn't change. I think a lot of the time it depends whether it's a peg rate or not. If you let on, one of your client lets on to their bank or to a different FX company that you didn't know that the US dollar and the dirham is pegged, they might have a little bit of fun with you. Right. But it shouldn't change. It should be set and it should not change, whether it be January or September.
What about delays? I mean, that's, again, I go back to this problem that we have as real estate agents where once we've closed or the client has decided they want to purchase or sell their property, the money's, they want it quick.
Yeah.
And we need it quickly to make sure that we're confirmed buyers or whatever. All the sort of delays that you're seeing.
Some of the delays can be due to compliance, but that's just compliance for you. And that's one of those things that happens. As long as a client has got all the documentation that we require, which most clients do and should have, their account will be active within a day, sort of maximum, really. From there, they've got their FX facility set up and ready to go. If there are any delays, which again we rarely see from our side, we've obviously got all the documentation that a client needs to say to a developer, "Hi, look, I've booked this exchange rate through GC Partners. There's been a day delay or 12-hour delay or whatever delay. Here's all the documentation to prove that the money's on the way." It's got a value date on it. A value date essentially just means the day that it's going to be with. Whether it be Ema or, Nakil, whoever, that's the day that the money's going to arrive in their account. So the developer, more often than not, it's a legal document. They take that and they accept it. And, then the agent can stop stressing, the client can stop stressing, and the developer can stop chasing up, basically.
Yeah, I had an issue last year with a lady from Czech Republic who had decided to buy a property. She was here in Dubai, and then she wanted her Czech bank to use GC, and there were some big delays.
Yeah,
and she was blaming me for suggesting GC. She was blaming GC.
Yeah,
and it became clear at the end that actually the delay was not GC. It wasn't me. It was her bank in Czech Republic who hadn't actually transferred the money.
Yeah.
They said they were going to do it, but they hadn't actually done it.
Yeah.
And there was at one stage, the developer had taken some money from her, but it wasn't enough. And he was cancelling the booking.
Yeah.
And she was going to lose her initial deposit. So it was a very stressful time for me and her, the client, and also some of the people at GC, because I had to have a few words with them.
Yeah.
But then we found out it was nothing to do with GC.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And I think that's the other thing I'm finding, even in places like the UK, it's an international place of business. And yet, when you do an online transfer with your bank in the UK, or even go into the bank, it doesn't happen immediately.
No.
It happens in their time.
Yeah.
It could be days.
Yeah.
I think it's just about compliance. It's about, the fact they probably have to have 6 signatures, and they always want to know why you're sending money, etc.
Yeah.
So talking about that, what documents do you actually need when you're setting up an account with GC?
The sign-up's really straightforward. The reason for that is because I think everybody's got a bank account, right? So it means that they've already got an FX facility. If we made it really difficult to sign up with us, people just wouldn't do it. In saying that, it's as simple as an online link. You follow the link, name, address, date of birth, phone number, things like that. Information so that we can contact somebody, essentially. From there, we'll also need passport and a proof of address. Proof of address dated within 3 months. I mean, it's as simple as a utility bill. Last month's DWA bill's fine. From there, as long as the client's not in a high-risk territory, then they'll be registered. If they are in a high-risk territory, we may ask for reason for transfer, which could be your property purchase agreement, which the majority of agents will have, or they'll have an intent to purchase property agreement, as well as source of wealth, which is going to be 1 to 3 months bank statements. So it's really, really simple to register. As soon as the client's registered, they're ready to go, essentially. They'll be introduced to their account manager. All they need to do is call into the office or email their account manager saying, please give me a call. And the rest is sort of taken care of for them very, very quickly.
So let's just talk about that process. So I'm in the UK. I've just committed to buying a property in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I need to send £100,000
Sure.
from the UK to the developer's account in Dubai.
Yeah.
What's the process?
Yeah, really, really simple. It's a 4-step process. Firstly, the client needs to register. That's done via online link and a couple of documents. Passport and proof of address from the UK will usually suffice. From there, registration is done within a day. I say a day to manage expectations. It's usually a lot quicker.
That's done by you. You're one of the onboarding.
I am one of the onboarders. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Very good.
Hold myself accountable. Secondly, once they've completed registration, they will be introduced to their account manager, who's essentially their trader that looks after them. They'll guarantee them an exchange rate. As long as the client is happy with that exchange rate, they'll book in the trade. Step 3, client will receive our bank details. So whether it be euros, pounds, Aussie dollars, whatever, they'll send their initial currency to us. As soon as that money arrives, step 4, which is just send the funds at the pre-agreed rate onwards to Dubai, whether it be directly to developer, to their own bank account, to an escrow, whatever the client requires. So it's all very, very simple, quick. And as I say, it's a 2-3 day process.
So let's get into the complicated part of the business. Yeah, it's a bit that I kind of understand, but I've personally not been involved in this, but of course you probably are every day. Maybe some of my clients are doing it. I don't know. I'm not aware. It's all very secretive. That is the other thing as well. I've noticed, if I want to phone you and say, has my client sent you the money yet? You can't answer that question.
No.
It's all very confidential.
Yes, we obviously have client confidentiality rules.
Yes. Can you explain forward contracts and booking currency forward, and why you would need to do that or want to do that?
Yeah, of course. So the forward contracts are really, really popular and useful tool, especially for clients that are buying off-plan. The majority of off-plan purchases come through some sort of an installment payment. For example, if you had a client who was living, working, getting paid their salary in the UK, but they were buying this overseas investment being an off-plan property, they would know that, just to keep the math simple, it's say 10,000 dirhams every single month. Yeah, every single month for a year. They would know that in month 1, that might be £2,000. What they don't know is what that costs in month 5, month 8, and month 12. So January, it could be £2,000 to 10,000 dirhams, say. And then by April, it could be £2,300. And then by the end of the year, it could be £2,500. What a forward contract does is it alleviates that risk to the market. So we can book an exchange rate for a client up to a year in advance. It means that a client is not open, they're closed to any fluctuation in the market when it comes to their overseas property investment. They can guarantee themselves a pound price or a euro price or Aussie dollar price, whatever it may be, against the dirham for a year in advance, knowing that they can afford this property throughout the whole year, regardless of what happens with the foreign exchange market.
On that point, what happens if the currency deviates by a hell of a lot in their favour?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, it's a contract. Obviously, you can't insure your house after you've already burnt it down.
No.
So it's one of those things. Because of how good our account managers are, a lot of our clients are booking their forward contracts when it's favourable to them. For example, the euro's at a pretty good point at the minute compared to the dirham over the last, say, year or two. That's why forward contracts for euros to dirhams is really popular right now, because people are taking a high, saying, look, if it goes a little bit higher, it's fine. I know I've got a good price for the next year. Yeah. Most of the time, it's very, very rare that a client will book a forward contract when a currency is at a low point.
So just for the layman like me, why do currencies swing so much and changes happen? When I first got to Dubai, I think the currency, the pound was around 5 dirhams to the pound.
Yeah.
And then over the next couple of years, it went, I think, even over 7 to the pound, maybe even as much as 8. It was very beneficial for dirhams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do they fluctuate? And now we're somewhere below 5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about UK, but still,
I think
that's what I deal in mostly.
Yeah,
that's my currency from home.
The currency market can be changed by a lot of things. Firstly, you'd probably be looking at inflation data, economic data. So, is everybody in work? Is there loads of homeless people? Things like that. The stronger the economy, the more people want their money there, right? I mean, Dubai is a fantastic example of that. It's got a great economy. That's why we're seeing so many overseas investors, because it means their money goes further over the space of 5-10 years. On top of that, you'd also be looking at things like interest rates, as well as commodities prices, trader behavior. I mean, you'd be surprised, but one trader or a group of traders can change a currency. If everybody decides to sell the pound, for example, you could see it weaken off. If everybody decides to buy the pound, you could see it become more expensive. It comes down to supply and demand in some cases. So what the currency market can be changed by a lot of things.
Who's making money out of these changes?
Usually it's the Bank of England, as we keep talking about the UK, and it'll be traders themselves. So not so much us, we're an overseas payments facility. It'll be more your Forex brokers that buy a load of pounds, sit on them, and then sell them. Those are the ones who make the real money out of the foreign exchange market, as well as obviously clients, right? Clients like yours. You said about the pound being 7 dirhams to £1 a good few years ago. If you'd bought a few properties back then for next to nothing, I'd imagine in Dubai real estate market, I'd say it's gone up a fair bit in the last 15, 20 years.
Sure.
And you sold them now, I wouldn't even like to think how many times your return on interest is.
Sure. Talking about making money and charges, etc. I know you don't charge an arrangement fee. Is it called? What's it called?
Yeah, there's no sort of fees or charges on top of our service.
Right. So you make your money how on the spread?
Yeah. So it's an all-inclusive exchange rate, right? So we don't give somebody a really, really great exchange rate and say you can have it, but it's going to cost you X amount. All of our exchange rates include everything, which is a benefit to our service because it means that clients know how much money they're going to receive on the other end. Obviously, we take a spread. We're not a charity, but our ethos is to take less than, what your normal bank would, what your online or smaller FX houses would take.
Would you be able to tell me if I was buying a property for 1 million dirhams and I used GC rather than my high street bank?
Yeah.
How much money would I save on that property? Do you think if I went through you rather than transferring money through there?
Yeah, so it's not quite as
I know it's not as simple as that. I just thought maybe there's is it 5%? Is it 1%?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, genuinely, you'd be looking at anywhere between saving 0.1% up to maybe 3, 4, 5%, depending on the bank. I mean, the amount we save a client depends on 3 things. Firstly, it's who the client banks with. Different banks take a different spread or margin. So it's a different exchange rate depending on whether it's bank A, B, C or D. Additionally, obviously, the more you send, the cheaper it is. Ultimately, it's just the way of the world. If you send £1 million compared to £100, the bank's spread or margin will probably be less. And thirdly, it depends on the currency as well. If you've got an exotic currency, they call them, so Aussie dollar, South African rand, something like that, into the dirham, the bank will take a larger spread on it because it's a less common transfer. If it's pounds to dirhams, it might be slightly smaller. So it just depends on each individual situation, which is why when we speak with a client, we have a proper conversation with them to understand what it is that they need from us, essentially.
I know GC Partners, they work a lot, obviously, in dirhams because you're based here and it's a big part of your business. But if I walked into an HSBC branch in the UK and said I wanted to buy dirhams, would they know what I'm talking about?
To be honest, yeah, they probably would. I'm not sure how long you'd have to wait in line. You'd have to get one of those tickets and you'd be number 764. But yeah, they usually would. I think, especially with so many expats moving out here, especially from the UK as well, most places know what the dirham is now, and they know what sort of rates that they're within their guidelines to give, bearing in mind that they will be taking it. You know, as I said, my previous example, you see a rate of 5, they offer you 4.8. You think it's okay, that's still a 4% margin.
Sure. Safety in transferring money, you touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
So why is it so much safer with you guys than it is with anybody else?
Yeah, so it's the level of protections that we have. Firstly, we're FCA regulated. So as I say, all of our payments, aside from the US, I'll caveat, go through London. So we have multiple different currency accounts within our account in London. So all clients will transfer through an FCA regulated account in London, which is ours. That gives them protection up to any amount in the world. Could be millions, billions. From there, we're also DIFC regulated in the UAE as well, which just means that your clients have got double-ended protection and they're protected where the money's coming from and where it's arriving to, which is super, super important because, as we know, you do hear horror stories of money getting lost, things happening, and then a client's out of pocket a few £100,000 or more, potentially, with nowhere to turn, really.
So there is a version of the European monetary control system here in Dubai.
Yeah.
And what's that called?
DIFC.
And what's that?
The Dubai International Financial Centre. So it's phrased as the DIFC. It's essentially where all of the regulated companies sit, where they work international markets, basically. So they know that everything's regulated, everything's safe. And obviously pairing that with our FCA regulation in the UK, it means that clients have double-ended protection from where the money is going to where the money is arriving to.
So one of the concerns of one of my clients is when I introduce the idea of using a company like yourselves, I don't know who they are. I know who my high street bank is. So how do you prove that you are the right people to be doing business with?
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as looking online. Regulated firms have all their documentation ready to find, whether it be on Companies House, their own website, the DIFC register. You can find everything that you need online. If you need more information, obviously I'm happy to share. We'll always have a conversation with the client, and if they have any questions like that, we're never going to hide against anything or hide behind anything because we have nothing to hide from.
And you're not going to like me for doing this, but if I wanted to transfer some money, you said £1 million is negotiable.
Yeah.
So does that mean that if I phone up my high street bank and say I've got this rate, that you're going to try and beat that rate?
Yeah, look, that's the key thing to our services. We always like to give the last rate, as you know, which means that 98% of the time you'll always get a saving. If we find that you've achieved a really, really good rate elsewhere, we're not in the business of saying, oh, use us for XYZ reason and, speaking down on the competition. If you find a great rate elsewhere, then please proceed, whether it be through the bank or somebody else. We're here to help, so use us, whether it be, in saving money or just receiving some good advice.
I mean, never mind saving money and having all the security and being able to talk to someone. It's the paper trail that I have the issue with.
Yeah.
So I don't get that from banks in Europe. It takes days to get receipts and proof of transfers, official proof of transfers.
Yeah.
You'll get a screenshot, but that's about all you'll get.
Yeah.
And that's not good enough for an accounts department.
No.
In the UAE, they want to see the SWIFT number, they want to see the codes, they want to see that the money's going via such and such a bank and that it's actually on its way, so they can trace it. You can't trace it from a screenshot transfer, which is about all you're going to get from your online banking elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly. A bank doesn't call you unless you owe them money, right? They're never going to email you something that they think you might need. With our service, everything is automatically emailed to you. As soon as you book your trade, you receive your deal ticket, which has got all the information on it. As soon as the money's sent, you'll receive your MT-103, which has got all the information of where the money's going, when it'll arrive, and then you receive everything all packaged in together at the end. So if you do need to, put it through your accountant, put it through your tax advisor, whatever, you've got everything you need to be able to do so.
You're probably a pretty good barometer of the market here in Dubai.
Yeah.
How have you seen business, or how's GC Partners seen changes in the amount of business that you're doing and the amount of transfers, and which particular countries perhaps are you doing a lot more business that maybe you didn't do before?
We always have our standard countries that are sort of our backbone, which is obviously the UK and the majority of Europe. But we do have countries that come in and out based off of regulation. So to give you an example, last year there was a massive influx of German clients due to some regulation changes there with buy-to-let properties. So a lot of people were selling their properties in Germany and thinking, where can I put them? And they bought in Dubai. So it changes. It changes on, I wouldn't say a weekly basis, but every few months. We see different influxes happening. South Africa's quite big at the minute. A lot of people are moving their funds from South Africa, as well as Singapore dollars as well is pretty huge too at the minute.
And what about the turnover that you're doing? Is that changing? Is that improving as time goes by?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't mean just simply because you're a growing company, etc., but you see certain types of properties being bought or certain types of people transferring money now maybe you didn't see before?
I think off-plan is just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. I think a lot of our business model prior to probably last year was a lot of your secondary market purchases where it was sort of a ready, finished, built house and somebody just wants to move in or buy it to then renovate it and sell it. Whereas now we're seeing so much off-plan investment that, there's multiple opportunities with it, right? There's multiple different payments. There's different opportunities in terms of it's ultimately cheaper for you. So you could own 2 or 3 off-plan investments as opposed to just owning one very, very large house somewhere. Off-plan is something that we're really seeing growing, especially with using our service.
And as far as inflows and outflows, are you seeing, is there a huge difference in the amount of money coming here rather than leaving?
Yeah.
Or you don't want to talk about that?
Huge isn't a big enough word.
Really?
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, obviously we do have a lot of payments, a lot of people leaving the country, whether it be moving from where they're from or moving somewhere else to be an expat. But the majority of what we do is people moving their initial currency into dirhams, even if it's smaller amounts, right? I mean, we work with a lot of leasing agents, you'd be surprised to hear, because obviously it's a smaller ticket size, right? But what do people do when they first move here? They rent a property, they, spend 6 months in an apartment somewhere, and then they go and look at the developments that are happening. So yeah, we see not just volume of currency, but volume of new registrations and new clients coming in as well.
So you're seeing a lot of that. Yeah, I suppose what I'm getting at is everybody's talking about how busy Dubai is at the moment. And I know I'm certainly very busy, and a lot of my colleagues are. And I just wondered if businesses like yours are seeing an uptick in business over the last couple of years, or
because we're pretty closely tied. I mean, my part of the business is at least very closely tied to what real estate agents do. As you know, I work with you guys on a day-to-day basis. So when you're busy, ultimately I'm busy, which is why I always hate you guys during July and August, because I'm sat there twiddling my thumbs a lot of the time. Ultimately, when you guys are busy, we are as well. And it's not just massive amounts of money coming in or going out. It's the amount of registrations that are happening, introductions to clients, first trades as well. I mean, the amount of first trades is just growing month in, month out, which is massive, which is a good barometer for business, right? Because, you could sell one house that's worth £100 million, or you could have 10 clients that buy 10 houses that are worth £10 million each. I'd argue that the second way is probably the better way, right? Because then you've got more opportunity for more business to help more clients to sell more properties and to increase what you're doing in the market.
Agreed. One of the challenges I have is that many times when I speak to people overseas who are thinking about investing here in Dubai, they've never sent money abroad.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're familiar with. Even if they're running large businesses in the UK, they still don't send money abroad, or they might just do it for their high street bank. How do I tell someone in outside of the UAE that it would be advantageous for them to sign up with GC partners prior to them making their final decision and committing to a property?
I think it's massive. Obviously, you'd like to get your ducks in a row before you do anything, especially when people are moving country, right? I mean, if they've not moved here and they're already looking at houses, I'd usually argue that they've probably got their head switched on straight. They're probably also looking at what it costs to get a visa, what it costs to set up a bank account, what savings account are available here, as well as obviously maybe looking at cars, things like that. If you're moving overseas, you're going to become an expat, you will need foreign exchange. You just categorically will need it, whether it be, you know, in your first few months to rent a car, buy groceries, go out at the weekend, or it be further down the line when you're looking to retire, move your money back to your home country, buy a house at home. You will need foreign exchange in one way or another. So it's always worth getting your ducks in a row ahead of time, making sure you're set up so you do know, oh, I need to pay so-and-so for XYZ. I need to pay for the apartment to be deep cleaned before I move into it tomorrow. You're able to do that quickly without having to sort of stress about, oh, is the money going to arrive? Is it not? What rate am I getting? Is it going to end up getting there and it's fallen short of what I need it to be and I need to make another transfer? You might as well, you know, make your life easier, right? That's why we're here.
People using your services, they need a bank account in one of the countries.
Yeah.
They don't need one in the other if they're buying off plan, because you transfer money directly from your account to the developer's account.
Yeah, that's right. So everything we do is done via bank transfers, so no cash or cryptocurrencies. But one of the benefits of doing it that way is it means that we can transfer the funds wherever a client wants us to, essentially. If they have their own account in Dubai, we'll send it here. If they're buying off plan, we'll send it directly to a developer with all of their relevant reference codes and everything so they can identify the payment as the client. We can also send it to escrow services if need be. The client just has to inform us. We'll always call them and check that the beneficiary details are correct. But yeah, we can send the money pretty much wherever the client needs it to go to, which again, saves time.
Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for that. If you're interested in buying Dubai property and you need to get in touch with Sam and his company GC, please get in touch with me first. Send me a message on all my channels. Mention that you've seen this podcast. And Sam has told me that he might even give you preferential rates. So let me know and I will introduce you to Sam, and Sam will then look after you. A big thank you to Sam for coming on and giving us a clear look at what really goes on behind the scenes of international money transfers. If you're looking at buying property in Dubai, I hope this episode gave you practical insights into how you save money, avoid delays, and transfer funds safely. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anybody who might find it useful. And if you need any help with investing into off-plan real estate in Dubai, you can get in touch with me through my website, www.stevenleckie.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.